Let's talk about something real. Let's talk about that feeling you get in the pit of your stomach when you realize the dynamic is off. When you're putting in everything you have, bending over backwards, making her the absolute center of your universe, and yet you feel it. A distance, a subtle, quiet lack of regard. You're trying so hard. So why does it feel like you're losing her respect a little more each day? It's a confusing and painful place to be. You're convinced that if you just try a little harder, give a little more, be a little more available, that she'll finally see your worth. But I need you to understand something fundamental, a truth that might be difficult to hear. Respect is not a gift you receive for good behavior. It is not a reward for loyalty. It is a response. It is the inevitable, natural reaction to a person who carries himself with a certain substance, a certain integrity, a certain unshakable sense of self. Without even realizing it, by doing what you think is right, you might be systematically dismantling that very self, and in the process, erasing any reason for her to look at you with genuine respect. She will never, ever respect you if you keep doing these three things. The first, perhaps the most common, is over-communication and constant pursuit. You believe that staying in constant contact, always being available, always initiating the conversation, always double texting, always making sure you're on her mind is the way to show you care. You think this persistence is a sign of your dedication, but from the outside, from her perspective, what does it actually look like? It looks like you have nothing else going on. It looks like your phone is an extension of your hand waiting for her message. It looks like your entire day is scheduled around the possibility of her attention. It screams neediness and a lack of purpose. A man who is deeply involved in his own mission, who is passionate about his work, who is invested in his own growth and his own friendships, does not have the time nor the inclination to be perpetually glued to his phone. Every, "Hey, what are you up to?" text when you haven't heard from her in a few hours, every paragraph, long message dissecting a minor issue. Every time you break the silence because you can't stand the tension, it all chips away at the mystery, the intrigue, and the respect. You are making yourself too available, too easily accessed, and in doing so, you become common. You become predictable. You become an open book that she already finished reading. Respect is born in the spaces between conversations. It is built when she wonders what you're doing because you're so engrossed in your own world. It is fostered when your attention is a valuable commodity, not a free resource you hand out indiscriminately. By constantly pursuing, you are communicating that her attention is more valuable than your own time and focus. And if you don't value your own time, why should she? The second thing that guarantees you will lose her respect is sacrificing your identity and your boundaries. This is a slow, quiet suicide of the self. It starts small. You give up a hobby you love because she finds it silly. You stop seeing your friends because she prefers you to be with her. You change your opinions to match hers to avoid conflict. You apologize for things that aren't your fault just to keep the peace. You let her disrespect your time, your energy, and your values, and you smile through it because you're afraid that standing up for yourself means you might lose her. What you don't realize is that in this desperate attempt to not lose her, you are already lost. The man she was initially attracted to, the man with his own passions, his own friends, his own strong opinions, and a backbone is slowly disappearing. In his place stands an always man, a pleaser, a puppet whose strings are pulled by the fear of abandonment. A relationship is not about two people merging into one amorphous blob. It is about two whole, complete individuals choosing to walk side by side, each strengthening the other. How can she respect a man who has no edge? A man with no boundaries is a man with no self-respect. He is saying, my principles are negotiable. My identity is flexible. My dignity is up for debate. When you abandon the things that make you who you are telling her that you do not value yourself. and it is impossible for her to value you more than you value yourself. You are teaching her exactly how to treat you, and the lesson is, my needs are secondary, my comfort is optional, my selfhood is disposable. You become a passenger in your own life, and no one respects a passenger. Respect is reserved for the captain, the man who, even in a partnership, still holds the helm of his own ship. The third, and most profound, way you lose respect is by making her your sole source of validation and happiness. This is the heaviest burden you can place on another human being. When your emotional state is entirely dependent on her moods, her actions, her words, and her attention, you are no longer a partner. You are an emotional dependent. Your happiness becomes her responsibility. Your insecurity becomes her problem to soothe. Your bad day is something she must fix. This is an immense, exhausting, and ultimately unattractive pressure to put on someone. It is the opposite of strength. A man who is emotionally sovereign and takes responsibility for his own state of being, he has outlets, his work, his gym routine, his friends, his hobbies that nourish him. He does not look to his partner to fill a void within himself. He comes to her from a place of abundance, offering his overflow, not his need. When you make her your everything, your therapist, your cheerleader, your source of all joy and your emotional crutch, you become a project, a problem to be managed. She might feel pity for you. She might feel sympathy. She might even feel a sense of duty, but she will not feel respect. Respect requires a foundation of strength and self-sufficiency. You are essentially saying, I am not complete without you. I am not happy without you. I am not okay without you. This is a confession of profound weakness. It is a vacuum that sucks the life and attraction out of any relationship. She doesn't want to be your savior. She wants to be your equal. She wants to look across the room and see a man who is solid on his own 2 feet. A man who is capable of handling his own emotional world. A man who chooses her every day not out of desperation, but out of desire. These 3 behaviors, the constant pursuit, the erosion of self, the emotional dependency, are a recipe for resentment and indifference. They are not acts of love, they are acts of self-abandonment. And you cannot expect someone to love and respect a person you yourself have abandoned. The painful truth is that the respect you are seeking from her must first be found within you. It starts with you reclaiming your time and understanding its value. It starts with you reinstating your boundaries and remembering what you stand for. It starts with you rebuilding your own world, your own purpose, and your own emotional resilience. So you have something genuine and solid to bring to the table. The change will not be communicated with a grand speech or a dramatic declaration. It will be communicated in the silence when you choose to put your phone away and focus on your work. It will be communicated when you politely but firmly say, I understand your point, but I see it differently. It will be communicated when you have a bad day and you handle it, you process it, you go for a run or talk to a friend. Instead of collapsing at her feet and waiting for her to piece you back together, this is not about playing games or being cold. This is about becoming a man who is so grounded in his own value, so committed to his own purpose, and so respectful of his own boundaries that respect from her or from anyone becomes the natural, automatic consequence. It stops being something you beg for and becomes something you simply command by the very way you carry yourself through the world. You believe with every fiber of your being that your constant attention is the proof of your devotion. You think that by always being there, always initiating, always ensuring the line of communication is not just open, but flooded with your presence. You are demonstrating your value as a committed and caring partner. This is the grand illusion, the most seductive and painful misconception that men fall into. You have mistaken relentless pursuit for dedication, and in doing so, you have systematically dismantled the very intrigue and respect you were trying to build. Let's break down what this behavior actually communicates, because your intentions are almost entirely irrelevant compared to the message that is received. When your phone is your command center, when you jump to reply within seconds every time, when you are the one consistently sending the good morning, how is your day, what are you up to, good night messages, you are not broadcasting your value. You are broadcasting your availability. And more than that, you are broadcasting that your availability is extensive, unchallenged, and ultimately not particularly valuable. Think about it from a simple principle of economics. Scarcity creates value. That which is abundant, common, and easily accessed is, by its very nature, less prized. Your constant digital presence makes you abundant. It makes you common. It makes you a guaranteed commodity. There is no mystery, no anticipation, no reason for her to wonder what you're doing or to make an effort to reach out to you, because you have already preempted that need. You have made yourself a predictable, open book, and a book that is always left out on the table is rarely picked up and read with fresh excitement. This behavior screams a profound lack of purpose. It visually illustrates that your daily life lacks a mission compelling enough to pull your focus away from your phone. A man who is deeply engrossed in building something, whether it's his business, his craft, his body, or his mind, does not have the mental bandwidth or the time to be perpetually curated in a digital conversation. His focus is on his task, and that focused, purposeful energy is infinitely more attractive than any emoji or carefully crafted text message could ever be. His attention becomes a reward, a valuable slice of his time that he chooses to grant, not a default state he exists in. This over-communication is, at its core, a form of neediness. It is a silent plea for validation. Every text you send that isn't answered immediately is a tiny referendum on your self-worth. The anxiety you feel, the urge to double text, the need to check in, these are not actions of a secure, confident man. They are the actions of a man who has handed over the reins of his emotional state to another person. She can feel this energy even through a screen. It feels heavy and desperate, not strong and assured. Respect and attraction are not cultivated in the constant glow of a smartphone screen. They are forged in the silent, productive hours when you are absent, building a life that is impressive and fulfilling entirely on its own. They are built in the space where she has the opportunity to miss you, to wonder about you, and most importantly, to initiate contact herself. By clinging to the illusion that more pursuit equals more love, you are only ensuring that you become a fixture, a comfortable, predictable, but ultimately unremarkable part of her landscape, not a compelling, respected force she actively chooses to engage with. You become a subscriber to her life, not a man she feels compelled to earn a place in yours. The desire to compromise is the bedrock of any healthy relationship. It is the conscious mutual choice to bend and accommodate another person's world, to create a shared space that honors you both. But there is a catastrophic difference between healthy compromise and the slow, silent suicide of the self. This is not about meeting in the middle. This is about you abandoning your shore entirely and swimming to hers, leaving everything that defines you to drown in the wake. You believe that by melting into her preferences, her friends, her schedule, and her opinions, you are being the good guy, the easy-going partner, the man who causes no friction. What you are actually being is a man who is willingly erasing himself, and in doing so, you are handing her a blueprint for your own disrespect. It begins subtly, almost imperceptibly. You skip a gym session you love because she's free and implies she'd rather you spend time with her. You laugh along when she gently mocks a hobby that once brought you joy, filing it away as a silly pastime. You stop making plans with your long-time friends because they represent a part of your life that exists outside of her, and her subtle coolness towards them makes it easier to just let those connections fade. One by one, you sand down your rough edges, your unique quirks, your passionate opinions, and your personal boundaries, all in the name of harmony. You mistake this self-abandonment for devotion. But the man she was initially drawn to, the man with his own friends, his own stories, His own strong viewpoints and a life that was vibrant and full before she even entered it is gradually disappearing in his place. You are constructing a pleasant, agreeable, but utterly hollow figure, the yes man, the pleaser, the partner who has no strong preferences, whose schedule is always open, whose opinions are always malleable, and whose primary purpose is to anticipate and service her needs. You believe this makes you invaluable. In reality, it makes you interchangeable. A man with no core identity has no anchor, and without an anchor, you are swept away by the slightest current of her mood or whim. This is the most profound sign of a lack of self-respect. Your boundaries, the invisible lines that protect your time, your energy, and your values, are the literal definition of your self-worth. They are how you teach the world, how you demand to be treated. When you allow those lines to be crossed, when you apologize for things that aren't your fault, to keep the peace, when you accept dismissive or disrespectful behavior because you're afraid that calling it out will cause a fight, you are broadcasting a devastating message. My principles are negotiable. My time is not valuable. My comfort is optional. My dignity is up for debate. How can you possibly expect her to respect a man yourself do not respect? You are showing her through 1,000 tiny surrenders that you do not value your own identity, your own passions, or your own peace. Respect cannot be given to a void, can only be reflected back to a man who possesses a solid, unshakable sense of self. A relationship is not about two people becoming one amorphous blob. It is the partnership of two whole, complete, and independent individuals who choose to walk the same path side by side, each strengthening the other because they are both strong on their own. By sacrificing your identity, you are not strengthening the relationship. You are weakening its very foundation by removing one of the two pillars holding it up. You become a passenger in your own life, and no one, absolutely no one, respects a passenger. Respect is reserved for the captain, the man who, even with a cherished first mate by his side, never forgets that he is the one who must ultimately hold the helm of his own ship. There is a profound and damaging misconception that love means entangling your entire emotional world with another person. That true intimacy is achieved when you make them your everything, your best friend, your therapist, your cheerleader, the sole source of your happiness. This is not intimacy. This is emotional outsourcing. It is the act of placing the colossal, crushing weight of your entire well-being onto another person's shoulders and calling it romance. You believe that by leaning on her, by making her the center of your universe, you are showing ultimate trust and devotion. What you are actually showing is a profound lack of emotional sovereignty, and there is nothing that extinguishes respect faster than becoming an emotional burden. This dependency manifests in 1,000 subtle ways. You have a stressful day at work, and instead of processing it through exercise, a hobby, or quiet reflection, you immediately call her, dumping the entire load of your frustration and anxiety into her lap, expecting her to manage it for you. You feel a moment of insecurity, and instead of confronting its root within yourself, you seek her reassurance, demanding she fill a void that you alone are responsible for. Your mood becomes a direct, reactive mirror to her actions. If she is attentive and affectionate, you are euphoric. If she is distant or preoccupied, you spiral into anxiety and neediness, interpreting her natural independence as a personal slight. You have effectively made her the custodian of your emotional state. This is an immense, exhausting, deeply unattractive pressure to place on another human being. She did not sign up to be your emotional caretaker. She entered a relationship seeking a partner, an equal. A man who is emotionally sovereign is capable of self-regulation. He has built his own internal infrastructure for handling life's inevitable stresses. He has his mission, his physical outlets, his own support network of friends, and the maturity to sit with his own discomfort without requiring immediate external rescue. He understands that his happiness is his own responsibility to cultivate. He does not look to his partner to fix him or fill him up. He comes to her from a place of wholeness and abundance, offering the overflow of his own fulfilled life, not his emptiness and need. When you outsource your validation and stability, you transform the dynamic from a partnership between two adults into a parent-child relationship. She is forced into the role of the manager, the soother, the problem solver. This is not a dynamic of attraction. It is a dynamic of obligation. She may feel pity for you. She may feel sympathy. She may even feel a strong sense of duty or care, but she will not feel respect. Respect cannot coexist with pity. It requires a foundation of strength and self-sufficiency. Your constant need for validation is a silent confession of weakness. It screams, I am not complete without you. I am not stable without you. I am not happy without you. This is the ultimate repellent. It is a vacuum of need that sucks the life, energy, and attraction out of any connection. She doesn't want to be your savior. She wants to be your equal. She wants to look at you and see a man who is solid and grounded on his own 2 feet. A man who is the source of his own validation. A man who handles his own storms. That man is a rock she can rely on, not a project she must constantly maintain. By clinging to her for your emotional survival, you are not proving your love. You are proving your inadequacy and ensuring that any genuine respect she might have had for you will slowly suffocate under the weight of your need. We speak about respect as if it is a transaction, something you can earn through grand gestures, relentless service, or unwavering agreement. We operate under the illusion that if we just do enough, give enough, and sacrifice enough, we will finally meet some invisible quota and be granted the respect we crave. This is a fundamental error in understanding the very nature of respect. Respect is not a transaction, it is a reflection. It is not something you earn from her through your actions toward her. It is something you command from her through the value you demonstrate you place on yourself. Your self-worth is the only currency that matters in this economy, and if you are bankrupt there, you have nothing to offer. She will never respect you if you do not first respect yourself, because your behavior teaches her exactly how you expect to be treated. Every single interaction you have is a silent lesson in your own self-estimation. When you cancel plans on your friends at the last minute because she snapped her fingers, you are teaching her that your prior commitments and your friend's time are worthless and that her whims are your highest priority. When you abandon your goals, the gym, the side hustle, the creative project, to linger in her orbit, you are teaching her that your ambitions are flimsy and disposable, easily traded for a few moments of her attention. When you tolerate dismissive comments, flaky behavior, or outright disrespect without a word, you are teaching her that your dignity has a shockingly low price tag. You are, through a consistent and painful curriculum of self-abasement, showing her that you are a man of low value. This has nothing to do with money, status, or material possessions. This value is existential. It is the inherent worth you assign to your time, your energy, your mind, and your spirit. A man who values his time understands it is non-renewable and refuses to waste it on people or pursuits that drain him. A man who values his energy protects it fiercely, setting boundaries to ensure he is not constantly depleted by emotional vampires. A man who values his mind continually feeds it with new knowledge and isn't afraid to defend his thoughtful opinions. A man who values his spirit nurtures it through practices and passions that bring him genuine joy, independent of anyone else. This intrinsic value creates an undeniable aura. It is a quiet, magnetic confidence that does not need to announce itself. This man does not seek respect. He assumes it by the very way he carries himself. He is not rude or arrogant, but he is immovable in his core principles. He is pleasant and compromising, but he never compromises himself. He is generous with his attention, but he is not desperate for it. He understands that his presence is a gift, not a given. When you operate from this place of self-value, you change the entire dynamic. You are no longer a supplicant hoping for her approval. You become a king inviting her into your kingdom. She is not doing you a favor by being there. You are both privileged to share in each other's worlds. This shift is everything. People, and especially women with high discernment, treat you exactly as you teach them to. If you present yourself as a scarce, valuable commodity, you will be treated as such. If you present yourself as a common, readily available resource, you will be taken for granted. The respect you receive from her will never, ever exceed the respect you demonstrate for yourself. It is the one currency you must mint yourself, and it is the only one that truly buys you a seat at the table. There is a silent, desperate question that lurks in the heart of too many men, a question that poisons their relationships from the inside out. Am I enough for her? This question becomes the central axis around which their entire world spins. Their mood, their confidence, and their sense of self-worth become entirely contingent on her answer, which is constantly being deduced from her texts, her tone, and her level of attention. This is a catastrophic way to live, and it is the absolute antithesis of what creates lasting respect and attraction. The antidote to this desperate need for external validation is not found in her. It is found in a purpose that exists beyond her. A man without a mission is a man who offers nothing but need, and she will never respect a man whose entire world she has become. Purpose is not merely a job or a hobby. It is a mission that calls to you. It is a goal that demands your focus, your discipline, and your passion. It is the thing you would pursue even if no woman was ever there to witness it. It is the project, the craft, the business, the art, the physical challenge, or the intellectual pursuit that ignites a fire in you. This mission is not something you do. It is something you are. It is the core of your identity, and it is this very core that becomes magnetically attractive. When a man is deeply engaged in his purpose, he is not thinking about her approval. He is thinking about the problem he is solving, the skill he is mastering, the impact he is creating. This focused intensity is incredibly powerful. He is not needing her, he is choosing her, and that distinction is everything. A man consumed by a woman is seen as needy. A man consumed by a mission is seen as driven. This mission gives him a narrative far more compelling than the guy who wants a girlfriend. It gives him stories to tell that aren't about her. It gives him challenges that she didn't create and that she cannot solve for him. Gives him a life that is already full and exciting before she even enters the room. This makes him not a void seeking to be filled, but a sun radiating energy. She is not being asked to be his source of light. She is being invited to bask in his. This purpose creates natural and healthy distance. It means you are not always available. It means you sometimes have to prioritize your mission. And in doing so, you communicate that your time is valuable and your focus is in demand. This isn't playing hard to get. It is being hard to get because you are genuinely got by something important. This creates space for her to miss you, to wonder about you, and crucially, to value the time you do choose to give her. Your attention becomes a valued gift, not a constant, low-value background noise. Ultimately, a purposeful man is an inspiration, not an obligation. He is not looking for a manager for his empty life. He is looking for a first mate for his already voyaging ship. He doesn't need her to give his life meaning. His life already has meaning, and her presence makes that meaningful life even richer. This is the man who commands respect without asking for it. His respect is not derived from her opinion. It is derived from his own action. He is too busy building his empire to notice if someone isn't clapping. And that silent, powerful focus is the most compelling invitation of all. She will respect you not for what you give to her, but for what you are building for yourself. We live in a world saturated with words. We are bombarded with promises, declarations, apologies, grand speeches of intention. We have been conditioned to believe that articulating our desires, outlining our plans, and verbally affirming our commitments is the substance of change. This is the grand deception, the siren song that lures well-intentioned men onto the rocks of empty promises. You can tell her you're going to change until you are blue in the face. You can promise to be more assertive, to hit the gym, to focus on your career, to set better boundaries. But if those words are not followed by a single consistent, silent action, they are not just meaningless, they are actively corrosive to her respect for you. She will never respect a man whose words are a cheap currency, devalued by his own inaction. Respect is not built in the space between your ears where your intentions live. It is forged in the tangible, observable world of your daily choices. It is a language that has no vocabulary of words, only a grammar of behavior. Every time you say you value health, but skip the workout to scroll through your phone, you are not just being lazy, you are broadcasting that your word is worthless. Every time you apologize for being a pushover and then immediately fail to uphold a simple boundary the very next day, you are not just being inconsistent, you are teaching her that your apologies are merely tools to placate her in the moment, not genuine commitments to change. Words become white noise, a background static of unreliability that she learns to tune out. The man who commands respect understands this profound truth. He knows that a single silent action holds more weight than 1,000 eloquent speeches. He doesn't tell her he is focusing on his purpose. He simply gets up early and works while the world is asleep. He doesn't announce he is reclaiming his self-respect. He just calmly and politely says no to a request that would violate his boundaries or waste his time. He doesn't promise to be a better man. He simply is one today through the mundane, unsexy choices that define character. He is too busy doing the work to talk about the work. This silent integrity creates a powerful and unshakable trust. When your behavior is consistently aligned with your stated values, you become predictable in the most admirable sense of the word. You become reliable. She knows that your character is not a fluctuating variable dependent on your mood or her reaction. She knows that your yes means yes and your no means no. This reliability is the bedrock of safety and, by extension, deep respect. She can relax around you because she knows who you are. She doesn't have to constantly guess which version of you she will get today, the one who talks a big game or the one who fails to show up for it. Ultimately, the transition from being a man who seeks respect to a man who commands it happens in this quiet space of action. It is the decision to stop explaining yourself and start proving yourself, not to her, but to the man in the mirror. It is the understanding that the most powerful message you can ever send is written not on your tongue, but in the sweat on your brow, the calm firmness in your voice, and the unwavering consistency of your choices. Stop telling her who you want to be. Close your mouth. Roll up your sleeves and let your actions, in their relentless and silent truth, tell her exactly who you are. That is the only story she will ever truly believe, and the only one that will ever earn her genuine, unshakable respect.